Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Raffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like and or subscribe on all social media platforms. Today, we're joined by Dean from No Redeeming Social Value, one of the most influential bands in the hardcore scene. With their no-nonsense sound and bold approach, No Redeeming has been a staple of the New York hardcore scene for years. They've released various LPs and have an energetic live show. We'll talk about the band's history, their music, and what's next moving forward. Dean, thanks for being here, man. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for that flattering intro. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on and allowing me to speak my piece here.
Of course, man. And I'll start off by we the band, but I've known you guys for a long time. And when I started going to shows around 94, 95, you guys were one of the bands for sure that we looked up to. And we ended up getting that Hardcore Your Lousy Ass Off 7-inch and EP and playing with you guys. And then we ended up actually being label mates for a little bit on Triple Crown. And then just happened to be tailgating for Metallica a couple of years ago. And then I looked to my left. I'm like, that's Dean to the left. And we ended up, hanging out a little bit in the parking lot, catching up and stuff like that, which was awesome. But knowing you for a while and definitely had a list of people I would love to have on the podcast, talk music. You were for sure one of them. So I appreciate
thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, man. That's very flattering and very kind of you. Thank you.
For sure, man. So I guess let's start. Like typically what I usually do here is like to hear the musical your musical history, how you started getting into music, then probably led to heavy music, and then what led to hardcore from there.
Well, getting into music when I was young, music was around the neighborhood. I wouldn't say it was so much from my family that got me into music. When I was a kid, Elvis was a big. I was a big Elvis fan. I mean, I still am. My first record ever was an Elvis Presley record. Probably had some, from what I remember, Doobie Brothers, Pink Floyd around the same time. But and then there was whatever was in the neighborhood. So at the time, it was a lot of Spanish music, like Cuban jazz, stuff like that, and it was a lot of 70s disco. And that was when I was young. As I got a little older, rap music, what is now known as hip hop music, came on the scene. I'm very fortunate that I was there, not in the room or the neighborhood, but I was there when the first rap hip hop musics were out and available to people. Sugar Hill Gang, stuff like that. What do you call? Curtis Blow, things like this. When that stuff was first launched, that was like a big thing, and I said, wow, this is different. This is cool. I mean, 70s disco to then into rap music and hip hop, and then after that, again, I always liked different kinds of music. I was on the street and we're playing stickball or wiffle ball, and kids are playing The Clash, Led Zeppelin. I remember Black Sabbath a little bit from when I was a kid. I remember then I meet my friends at school, and a lot of those kids, older brothers, had turned them on to the new wave of British heavy metal, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and again, Sabbath was there too. So I started getting, once I heard Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, that was it for me. I was like, wow, this is cool. This is this is awesome, and then, the way people dressed with it, people wearing the heavy metal t-shirts and just the imagery and stuff, it just really grabbed me and drew me in. And that's, a lot of those guys are still my friends now. And those guys were mostly the biggest musical influences on me. Those guys really turned me on to music. They were like, man, if you like Judas Priest, well, you're gonna love this other band. If you like, this, you're gonna love that, and they just turned me on to a bunch of stuff. And all the while at the same time, I was still just listening to like all kinds of other stuff. Like I remember a favorite of mine, still a favorite of mine now, when I was a kid, was the Kinks. The
Mhm.
Kinks
Yeah.
really stuck out to me, just as like, I don't, something about them. It was like their songwriting or whatever. And to me, and I've told many people this, I I call them the first punk rock band. I feel like they were the first ones to do punk rock music. Maybe that's why they grabbed me the strongest. And then there was the radio stations at the time. I always like to listen to different stuff. So while I'd be with my friends and we'd be listening to like Judas Priest, I'd go home and listen to the Kinks. I'd go home and listen to Pink Floyd. I'd go home and listen to a big radio station on Long Island at the time was WLIR, and you'd hear a lot of weirdo like off the track stuff. Like they'd play the Clash, they'd play the Ramones, they'd play the Dead Milkmen, they'd play like all the new wave bands and stuff. So I was getting a little into that as like a young teenager. And then I would say, being into all like the heavier bands, Slayer was a big one for me when I was a kid. Like the early Slayer stuff, like Hell Awaits was like huge for me. Venom, Celtic Frost, and then I don't know how I got a cassette tape of it. Somebody presented me with a cassette tape of Suicidal Tendencies, their first album. The one with "I Saw Your Mommy and Your
Yeah.
Mommy's Dead." That
Classic.
one,
Mhm.
man, that thing, like my brain exploded when I heard that. I couldn't believe that like these guys like were awesome musicians, but still had like this sort of like funny edge to them where they were singing like I Shot Reagan and stuff like that. Like to me, that was I didn't know that that was possible. I thought
Yeah.
music was like serious, like Judas Priest and Slayer and stuff like this, and so I didn't. Once I heard Suicidal Tendencies, there was no looking back. Then the floodgates were open, and I was just looking for more of that. Then of course, I got into Black Flag, Circle Jerks, a lot of LA bands, a lot of West Coast bands like that. Fear was a huge one for me. Fear was like, once I got their record, I was like, whoa, this is wild. And that's kind of how I got into it. New York hardcore came a little bit later. I'm trying to think. I was probably again through people giving me like demo tapes and stuff. People had tapes around and they would play them, and I think I probably heard like before they were Bold. I believe they were Crippled Youth.
Mm.
I heard them. I heard like Gangrene. I heard like geez, who else was on that tape? Like whoever Youth of Today was before they were Youth of Today, stuff like that. And then I was like, wow, like this is like so primitive. These guys are barely playing these instruments, yet they're really expressing themselves in a way that's so unique. And I had never knew that that was possible, and then once I heard that, yeah, I remember my younger brother, who's 6 years younger than me, Kent, the guitar player from NRSV. He brought home the Sick of It All demo tape one day and started playing that. And that was like, wow, these guys are from Queens, huh? This
Yeah.
is like
Right
some
around the corner, kind of.
interesting stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, in our neighborhood, we were lucky enough to have a band called Norman Bates and the Showerheads, who I later, and I'm still friendly with those cats. And they were, like, I didn't know they were a punk band or a hardcore band or anything. They were just a band from the neighborhood. And they were a big deal in the neighborhood. I mean, they used to play gigs with the Ramones. They used to play at
Mm. Wow.
CBGB's. They used to play, you know, uh, all kinds of places that I had never heard of at that time in my life. And they were also a very big influence early on for myself and my brother, big time. Really, really. Once we heard them, and like I said, those demo tapes, those early demo tapes of like these hardcore bands, primitive stuff, we were like, wow, this is something different. There's something else out there.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
not everybody is Iron Maiden, not everybody is Slayer, or these, the Kinks or whatever. Like, other music kinds of forms of music exist, and this is it's rock and roll. It's heavy, but it's so primitive, and something about that was attractive to us, I guess. you
Yeah,
know
yeah, for sure. And it's like how you're describing it. It's like how you started and it built. It led to, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Slayer, Suicidal, and then it
yeah.
gets to obviously all the, the punk rock, hardcore bands. And then what's
Yeah.
crazy, and I remember feeling the same way. It's like it feels like it's that close to you. It's just so close to you. And then you're going to shows and people are walking around and you're like, oh my God, there's the band. And as a young teenager, I'm like, wow, this is
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
You remember your
Yeah.
first show, hardcore show? Or what was
Well,
maybe a hardcore adjacent show?
yeah, in my neighborhood, I was lucky enough to have like this youth center connected to a church. And they would put on, like, bands like on Friday or Saturday nights, and a lot of people from the neighborhood would go to this place and see all these bands. They had like battle of the bands and
Mm.
and whatnot. And I would go down there with my friends, and we would basically there would be a lot of heavy metal bands doing covers or doing their original material. But you know, some of the bands were really good. Some of them didn't stand out. It was kind of just, you went there to see what other kids your age or other kids maybe like 4 years older than you were doing, and this was wild stuff. Um, I went there to see a show one night, and there was this band. Um, they were called Tough Slut, and they were sort of like making fun of these heavy metal guys that were dressed up with the leather and the lace
Having
and
fun with it.
the
Yeah.
hair and the earrings and the makeup and shit. And these dudes were like, they were playing heavy music, but they were making fun of these other guys. And I was like, wow, these guys are different. This is cool. This is something special. And then, through going to those shows, I was lucky enough to see Norman Bates and the Showerheads perform once or twice there. And then, like, the big one that blew me out of the water was a band called The Six and Violence.
Oh yeah.
And once I saw them at that same youth center, church place, I said to myself, holy shit, like, I need to do this. Like, I have to somehow be a part of this. Like, how can I write a song or do something like this, man? Because these guys are, it was something I had never seen before in my life. They were so aggressive and so just like in your face. And when I say in your face, they were in the crowd doing
Mm.
the songs, whereas all these other heavy metal guys were up on stage, like, very choreographed and stuff. But these guys were like running around the crowd playing the guitar.
Mm.
The singer was like jumping on people. I was like, this is fucking crazy, man. What the fuck is this? And I took it home and I described it to my younger brother, and I just couldn't even explain it to him, man. And I had to bring him in so he could see it for himself.
And then it built
So
from there, right?
yeah,
So then you
yeah.
formed No Redeeming. How old were you? Would you say you were at that point?
I was probably, let me think. Uh, so it was in 1988. So I was like 17 or just about to turn 18. Um, my brother Kent, he's 6 years younger than I am. So he was 11 or 12 years old and playing the guitar. Um, there was never any intention to form any band or anything like that. He would get together, with his buddies, whoever played an instrument in the basement, and they would jam away. I turned him on to some friends of mine, and I said, hey, man, these guys, they're cool. Like, you like to jam. You're a good guitar player. And at this point, at 11 years old, my brother was like ripping every Randy Rhoads solo that there was. Like, the guy was he got it right away, and that's all he did was sit in his room and play the guitar. He did nothing but that. No homework, no nothing. He just did that. And so I turned him on to my friends. He got hooked up with those guys, and started jamming while I was, studying. And then all the racket that they were making, I would go down into the basement and be like, hey, man, trying to study over here, guys. Like, I got big plans for the future. And they were like, yeah, well, right now, why don't you just we'll hook up this microphone and you do some lines over what we're doing here, and let's see how it sounds, man. Like, we made up these couple of, basic riffs or whatever. And so that's kind of how it started, just
That's
in the
cool.
basement
Not
doing that.
intentionally either, right?
No, no,
Sounds like.
definitely not intentionally. And even just, I could see that my brother was really into it and having fun with it. And I liked that. So I, kept telling my buddies like, hey man, come around, keep jamming with this kid. Like, he's into it. You could tell he's really good. Like, he knows what he's doing. And they were like, yeah, he's great. So they would keep coming around and jamming with him. And every once in a while, we'd go down there and just yell on some lyrics with them and stuff. And then, as a joke, we were like, hey, let's see if we could play the youth center thing. Like, let's throw a couple of songs together, even a couple of covers, and let's go over there and see if we could, jam at the youth center. Maybe we could play with the Six and Violence or Norman Bates and the Showerheads. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then it just kept rolling, man.
When did the name come? No redeeming social value.
Probably it was well, that was given to us. I always say to people, you don't choose your own nickname. One is assigned to you, because if you choose one for yourself, life doesn't work like that. So
Right.
nicknames get assigned to you, and names get assigned to you. So a buddy of ours that would listen to us jam and stuff, he said, you guys, like, you should be called No Redeeming Social Value. Because that's what this is what it sounds like to me, man. This music is completely, I'm not sure if you're completely worthless or if you're onto something here. So, so that's what he kind of dubbed us. We were listening to a lot of Frank Zappa at the time, me and this buddy of mine, and he came up with it from a Zappa record. And yeah, that's how we got the name.
That's cool. And then
I liked it right away because, and I presented it to my brother Kent, and we liked it right away because we were like, well, you're either going to totally remember that name or you're not even going to understand what it means and completely forget about it. But it's not like a name where it's like you hear it all the time. This is a phrase nobody ever utters or hears or anything. And then people, of course, still to this day cannot fucking spell the name of the band for shit. So.
No, but it is a catchy, and it is a original name. I mean, you definitely you're not going to see that anywhere.
No.
So you guys, let's say we'll jump ahead a little bit. You then record a demo.
Yeah.
At that point in time, though, when did the idea come? Because it might come in, right? You guys there was two of you. So when did that said, oh, let's get two singers, or it just kind of happened? Because the way I could describe it, and we were talking about this before, is you guys always had fun. And you were talking about when you would go see bands and like with Six Violence and Norman Bates and all these bands doing kind of what I described, what you do, but you guys aren't trying. You take your music seriously, but you have fun with it. And I remember when I first started going to shows and seeing you, and I remember we played with you guys at the Roxy at one of those big long matinees. You guys were one of the headliners there. And just the fun that you guys were having on stage and just enjoying every song, not taking too serious, but taking the music serious. So when did you guys, then you started recording, taking it from there, saying, okay, let's bring on another singer, and how did that move forward?
Well, just to add on to what you said about the fun of it, and when we're on stage having fun, like, yeah, man, literally, like the times that we played on, gigs and stuff like that, like the joy that we get from doing that and sharing it with each other, it's genuine, man. We really have fun with it, and I think that's really important, and we try to put that first, obviously. When to the beginning of your question there, we had been playing around my brother, myself, and two other fellas that are long gone out of the band, had been playing together for maybe like 2 years. And we would play the local youth center that I described. We would play this place in Elmont called February's, later became Hammerheads, I think.
Yes.
And then probably some other stuff. I don't know. We would play there like on Sunday nights. We became like the house band there. They always had like a show on Sunday nights, almost like an open mic thing, or just metal bands or rock bands. And we would always just show up and play, like they would just let us do it. And we were as crazy as hell, like, you know, just doing crazy stuff, like just acting out. And it was more like our thing was like, it wasn't just the music. We were trying to put on like a show, because we weren't as technically proficient as some of these other metal and rock bands, and we knew it. So we were just making up our own goofy songs, and these guys were playing like, Slayer and Metallica covers, and we couldn't. We didn't want to do that, and we couldn't do that with the talent that we had in the band. My brother could, but the rest of us were not at that level. And so we tried to make it more of a show. And then after a couple of years of doing this, we just kind of were like, yeah, that was fun. It's cool, man. We had our fun. We did our thing. We made our little, we did what we wanted to do, played some gigs, made some songs, recorded a demo tape. That was cool. All right, that's a wrap. Band breaking up. And at the gig that we were like, okay, this is the final gig. My buddy Mike Dixon, was at the gig. He was a friend of mine at the time, and he came down to the gig. And after the gig, we were like, hey man, we're going over to the park. We're gonna buy a fucking bunch of cases of beer, and we're gonna have fun, man. We're gonna just do what we always do, hang at the park and just get drunk or whatever. And Mike came down with a bunch of friends and stuff. I dropped Kent off at the house because he was 13 years old at the time and had a curfew and couldn't hang out in the park with us drinking beer. So I had to drop him off at the house. And then I went off to the park, and Mike was saying, you guys can't end this band. Like, that was so great, man. He's like, all these other bands got up there and fucking, posed and had synchronized moves and dressed up for the part and fucking had the hairdos and the matching guitars and all this stuff. And they thought they was some shit. And you guys came over here and you just did goofy stuff. You threw money at the crowd. You were doing backflips. You were doing all kinds of spins and crazy stuff and making songs about, all kinds of nutty stuff. And he's like, I'll never remember any one of those bands. He's like, but you guys, I'll remember that performance forever. And I was like, come on, Mike. Like, we had our fun. It's done, whatever. And then I would see him at school, and he was like, come on, man, you're going to do that band again, right? Come on, like, I'll help you. We'll write some more songs. We'll do some stuff. I was like, he kept bugging me. I went home to my brother, and I was like, dude, this guy keeps bugging me about this fucking band thing, man. Like, what do you think? Like, what, you want to try to write some more songs with this guy? Like, what do you think? And he's just like, I don't know, I guess, like, we'll give it a shot or whatever. Cause we still had the drummer and the bass player. So we're like, all right, let's bring Mike down. I said, Mike, what do you play? What instrument? He's like, oh, I don't play any instruments. He's like, well, what do you think I could do in the band? And I was like, I don't know, dude, just come down to the rehearsal place and we'll figure something out. And that's what we did. And then
It's cool.
we were just like, hey, let's trade these lines. Like, you sing a line, I'll sing a line. You sing a line, I'll sing a line. Let's see how it goes. And then it kind of just carried on from there.
Yeah, and you could hear on the releases, obviously, and you guys did it very well. It wasn't forced, especially live, and you guys bounced off one of each other, like during the shows and when you were playing. So I guess let's get into the writing process for you guys in terms of, we're gonna go back a little, but obviously there was different carnations of the band. Then it was just you singing, and then he came back. There was a lot of that stuff. So you have a lot of material, but let's talk a little bit about how you guys go about writing. So when it was you two as the singers in the band, what would happen typically when you were writing material for, like, let's go to like THC and like Hardcore Your Lousy Ass Off and like that era? and even 40 ounces of hardcore and all those and all that era of music. Um, did Ken come in with music? Did somebody come in with music kind of completed? Here's a song, then you guys would organically set it up. Did you have lyrics set? Did you and Mike work on lyrics? How would songs come together for No Redeeming?
Um, I would so the thing with us was there was never a plan. And that's kind of what our plan was, to never have a plan. Um, and every time we didn't have a plan came together sort of just out of
Hmm.
nowhere and worked out for us. So
Yeah.
like we never really sat down until much later on and said, "Hey, let's write like 5 songs today." We just would hang out, drink beer, watch videotapes of like horror movies or like, you know, old Black Flag, or stuff like that, like videotapes, VHS tapes, or a good show of ours that we like to watch was Cops. You remember the show Cops? We loved to
Yeah.
watch. We used to get 40 ounces and buckets of chicken and sit in my parents' basement watching Cops. And there would just be instruments around, and we
Is
would
that how
make
the
up
chicken,
like,
eat more chicken? Is that how that came?
yeah, that's
Actually sang
exactly
the
how,
chorus to you
right.
there for a second.
That's
But yeah,
exactly how it
that's
happened,
amazing.
right? Like we were hanging out and Vinny said like he's like, "You fucking guys, you're always fucking eating chicken, man. You guys can't stop with this chicken shit." Like and then he just wrote a song like we just came up with like he started singing like I like chicken, and then somebody else would say like I like it too, and then we just would come up with stuff, and Kent would like come up with like, yeah, here's a riff for it, like blah 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 whatever, or and
There
oh
it
no,
is.
play it like play it heavier or play it more like this or whatever, and we would just okay, somebody jump on the drums and let's start see if we could put something together with that. Once we had an idea, the formula for us was always the same. It was always like, and it's funny because anybody that was in the band listening to this will say this out loud with me at the same time I'm saying it. It was always intro, verses, chorus, mosh part, chorus, song's over, that's it, and that was our formula. And that's basically once we discovered that formula for success, we just mimicked that time and time again, and that's how we did it. But there was no like, let's sit down and write a song about chicken or write a song about
Naturally
skinheads or
happened.
write a song about
Yeah.
anything. And if there was ever one of those things like um there was a few times where Vinny would come and hang out and be like, guys, I wrote these lyrics over the last week, like, check it out, man. Maybe we could put some music to it or whatever. And then we would try to put some music to it and work stuff around. And we did, but it was more just like jokes between us from hanging out. Um, and we would come up with stuff, and ideas and stuff. And just our friends too, like our buddy Alan, the guy from the cover of our records. He had all these crazy ideas, never had an interest in being in a band, but always had these crazy ideas and would pitch these nutty ideas to me. And then I would take it to the guys and be like, hey guys, like fucking Alan was talking about this shit. We should, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about these lyrics? And then we would just do something, kind of
Yeah.
nutty.
So kind of going back to like what I was saying before, it's like obviously you guys take the band serious, but then there's the fun aspect of it, and that's the way you wrote. That's the way you wrote. And then when it's like you get those ideas from having fun and joking, it becomes not serious and dramatic. I don't mean it that way, but you get serious in terms about writing the music. Would you say that
Right.
process continued later on? Because you had a little, there was some albums, you had albums that came out afterwards and stuff in terms of like Wasted for Life. That was the last one that just came out, and some of the others
Right.
prior to that.
So as we progressed, I mean, that was what I described to you previously was sort of like
Early
early
days.
on.
Mhm.
Once we got to the stage of when probably when you met us, or just after you met us, and we were on the same record label, Triple Crown Records, us, Overthrow, 25 to Life. Oh geez, there was others.
One for One, right? Voice of
One for
Reason.
One, Home
There's others.
33. There was a bunch of good
Oh, yeah.
bands on that
Heard of them.
label, and we were presented with the opportunity um, to have a record deal. Like, hey guys, I want to offer you this record deal, and we're gonna press a vinyl, and fucking, we're gonna go to the recording studio, and this is gonna be high tech and all this stuff. Then we sat down and we were like, okay, who's got song ideas? Because we need to start writing songs now, because you can't just put out a record of like goofy ass answering machine messages. This guy is signing us to a record deal and giving us money. Like, we got to fucking make good on this. So that's kind of what we did. And luckily at the time we were renting a studio on 28th Street. I think it was west, somewhere on the west side on 28th Street. We rented a, it was like it was a dump of a building, and somewhere up on the 8th floor or whatever, they had like abandoned rooms, and we moved our crap in there, and that was our hangout place and our rehearsal studio. We shared it with Home 33 and Fahrenheit 451.
Awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, and we would literally spend days in there, just getting completely wasted, and we would come up with songs. We had nothing to do but hang out. This was our own space, to just get completely smashed and write songs, and that's how we did that. And then it came to the point where it was like, okay, like, guy, like, here's Triple Crown Records. Fred Feldman was his name at Triple Crown Records. We said, hey, Fred, here's like a bunch of songs. He was like, oh, you guys are off to a great start. Like, great start? What do you mean, dude? We got like fucking 8 songs here. He's like, well, yeah, it's 8 songs, but it's only like 15 minutes worth of music.
He was always big on that. Yeah.
He's like, I need to put a record out with you guys. He's like, minimum 45 minutes of music. And I'm like, what? What? Back to the studio, guys. We got to write some more songs. And that explains a lot about our THC record, which, A, the wastedness of it, and B, the songs got a lot longer. We experimented with some 12-minute songs because we were like, fuck, man, we got to like, and we were really like out of our minds at that time. And, we were writing all kinds of crazy. We were just throwing it against the wall and seeing what came out. And
that's a great record, though. I love all this stuff. That one's my favorite.
It's such a bizarre album. I mean, talk about an experimental, if you want to call that a hardcore record. Half the song is like we're playing at thrash metal speed, and the other half of the record is like us obviously stoned out of our minds, like trying to make some Pink Floyd shit happen. Wow, what a crazy time that was. And yeah, but again, we just did what we felt, man. We just did what we trying to have fun with it, and doing like, like vibing with each other and just trying to have some fun with it. Wasted for Life was a completely different process. That was something, our most recent record, that was something that I consciously put my mind into, because at the time, just going through some stuff, and needed a reason to write some songs or to concentrate on music. And I said, hey guys, what would happen if we actually tried to write songs rather than just throwing shit at a wall? Like, let's sit down and say to ourselves, like, okay, we have some ideas. Let's demo these ideas. Oh, okay, let's bring in like 5 different sets of lyrics for this one song and see how it goes. Hey, let's take the solo from that song and put it over here. Maybe that works. I don't know. And it was like a 7-year process or something like that by the time we started messing with it till the time the album came out. But it served the purpose, because it saved a lot of lives. And I'm talking about the guys in the band. And it also gave us a chance to do something that we never did before, which is, hey man, let's try to write these songs. And oddly, I'm sure every band or every musician would say, like, that's the one I'm most proud of. But that's the one I'm most proud of. Like, that, it took a lot out of us, man. It took a fucking lot out of us. A lot of emotion went into that album, and a lot of work, and a lot of, hey man, we showed ourselves that we could do it, that we could actually sit down and write a song and really work on it and really polish it and really take it apart again and put it back together and see if we like it the same. It was really, really different. So that I enjoyed that process. I think we all learned a lot from it. That's for sure.
You always do with each one, right? And that's another good album. It's a good
album.
If
you're lucky, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So what with lyrics, do Do you write all of them? Does some people give you ideas for things, or are they just, hey, there's something going on, I want to write about it, or how does that work?
I could probably go through our entire catalog and say like, oh, I know like Scott wrote that one. Oh, I know
Mm,
John Franco wrote that one. Oh, I know for sure Vinny wrote those lyrics. But by and large, like we all just like somebody will come down and have like four lines, and then the next guy will take it and add like a bunch of lines, and then
collaborative.
somebody else will be
Mhm.
like, nah, the chorus should be more like this. So it's more like Mad Libs with us. Like we just
Right.
kind of like, hey, we need a verb here. Who's got a verb? Oh, okay, throwing up. Great, throw that in there. Great, that's a good one. So it's more just like everybody kind of has a hand in it. And I think it's we've always been conscious to try to do it that way because the whole impetus for the band was to try to keep our friends involved with each other, to try to keep our friends together, to try to keep our friends working towards a common goal. And yeah, nobody drives the ship. We're all just we're all rowing together type of thing as far as the writing goes. But yeah, there's always been a song where it's like, hey, Scott wrote that whole song, like fucking awesome, and you can tell. Or on our new record, there was one or two of them that John Franco, our bass player, wrote. Um, we were like, hey, John, we need lyrics for this. We had this music for like how long, and we just need these lyrics. He'd be like, all right, give me like 10 minutes, go into the other room, come back. Hey, here's the lyrics, guys. And then boom, we just rolled with it and it worked out. I mean, there's always editing. There's always, hey, take that line out, put this in. This works better with that, whatever. But yeah,
That's how it
we're
started.
always working together. That's the thing of our band. We're always trying to work together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what about like, so you have a lot of albums. How do you guys determine your album track list in terms of the order?
So we never did until Wasted for Life. We always everything we've Chris, what I can tell you for sure, man, um, this is something that I don't say a lot, but I'll say it now. So you've got the exclusive on this. The amount of the regrets that we have about
Mm.
past things that we've done. If we had like a dime for every regret, we'd be like the richest band in the world because there's so many of them, man. That like, man, why didn't we just stop getting wasted and think about that for a second? Why didn't we think about the track list? Why didn't we think about like this song doesn't work on the record at all? Maybe we put it over here. Why didn't we think about this or that? The only time we ever did that was with Wasted for Life, where
Yeah.
we said, nah, man, like this works better with that. Okay, that comes next. All right, this song not on the record. This song, put that one on instead. Like type of thing. That was the only time we've ever done that. Again, like I said, our plan was to never really have a plan, and that really worked against us in many ways throughout our history. But it also kept it interesting, fun, and spontaneous, and worked for us to a large extent as well.
Oh, for
So
sure.
yeah.
So are there any songs then on THC and maybe Still Drinking that you were like, I wish that one wasn't on there?
Oh yeah, plenty of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, plenty of them. Um, hey, look, I'm happy that we were able to sort of like uh, you know, open up our collars, let our hair down, so to speak, and just kind of do whatever we want, do whatever we felt like. That's got to be part of the creative and expressive process. Um, that's what That's what you get in a band or in any artistic endeavor to do. Hey, man, just paint what you feel, and it's probably gonna. It comes from the heart. It's going to be pure. It's going to be good. And I think as far as we go, that resonates with people because people do know what we do is just like it's really part of us. It really comes from the heart.
Yeah.
As far as like musical skill or writing skill or things like this, like yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I wish we would have done differently. Like man, if we would have just planned things out better and said, oh, this song, let's just work on it more. Hey man, don't be in such a rush to finish it. Like let's just we don't have to record tomorrow. Let's just take our time. So yeah, there's a bunch of songs. Obviously, we have our hits, and a lot of times we try to focus on that when we play live. And there's a lot of lost tracks out there. Like
Mhm.
if I had to put together a greatest hits, it would probably comprise 25% of our catalog, whereas like the lost tracks would be the other 75% of the stuff that, man, we probably don't even know how to play those songs anymore, you
They
know?
haven't jammed on or even like rehearsed in a while. So that actually leads
Yeah.
me to the next part of this is I like asking bands of how do you because you have a big catalog. You really do. Even if you had THC and Hardcore Your Lousy Ass Off, and even that era, there's a lot of catalog. But now it's everything else after that. How
Yeah.
do you guys determine your set list when you play?
Mm.
Obviously, you got like you said, you have your anthems, you have your hit songs, but do you adjust it? Do you add some songs maybe you don't play? You kind of answered that, but how do you go about that? And
Yeah, I mean,
there's
well,
songs, I apologize, Dean, that you wished you played more that you do not play anymore.
um, personally, maybe one or two, but that I would say that's about it. Um, you know, when we were doing tours, we would be playing, 18 songs a night. Because you know, you have to do an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe we throw in a cover or two, or the jibber jabber between the songs would be a little bit more extended. So we'd throw in more songs. Nowadays when we play a gig, people give us like a concise 30 minutes or a concise 35
Mhm.
minutes. We're going to do the hits. We're going to do the ones we're going to do the two or three strongest tracks from every record, and we're going to keep it to that. Yeah, when we're in rehearsal, we rehearse a whole bunch more songs. Hey, remember that song? Let's try to run through that once and see how it feels. Or hey, remember that one? We haven't played that since CBGB's. Like, you guys remember that one? Let's check it out. Let's try it. Like whatever, just to keep it interesting and fun for ourselves. But when we play live, I think we try to keep it to the hits. I mean, yeah, we're lucky enough to have a few songs that people remember and can sing along to. And I think that when we play live, we try to gear our set list towards the audience. What do they want to hear? Nobody wants to hear, let's say, for example, nobody wants to hear Downfall, which is one of the songs on THC, one of these longer, trippy ass songs.
Mhm.
Oh, we did once a long, long time ago. We did a record with a band called Romantic Gorilla from Japan,
Okay.
and we covered one of their songs. They covered our song and this and
Yeah.
that, and we wound up doing one of their songs live once. We thought it was a great idea to do this one of their songs live, and we had a keyboard player and we had all kinds of stuff going on, and our drummer Glenn, who wasn't in the band at the time, he was like, "Man, yeah, I remember when you guys did that." He's like, "You guys took a 35-minute set, and 25 minutes of that set you played one fucking song." He's like, I never saw a hardcore band do anything like that before, man. He's like, I'm not saying it was good, but I definitely remember it. So yeah, we try to keep it to the hits. I think it's more about like, hey, the audience is coming down. Like, we want people to have fun. We want people to sing with us. We want people to
Yeah.
leave there smiling, like, give them what they want to hear, man. Let's not stroke our own egos by trying to play like anything too serious, or any deep tracks. Like, yeah, we'll throw one in once in a while just for shits and giggles, but for the most part, we try to keep it to the hits.
Keep it the way it is. And you said,
Yeah,
like, and we were talking about this, you guys, it's not like the late 90s, early 2000s when you guys were touring, playing all over the place. You guys play, things come, you play. So people may only seen you once, twice a year. So,
right,
so you want to, and keep those songs that people know.
right.
These songs that you've noticed on the album, I mean, it's got 5 years now, but Wasted for Life that, oh, people are into this one. Like, or
Oh
these are
yeah,
the
man.
songs that you're loving.
For sure. I
Mhm.
think so oddly enough, we wrote a country song on that record, or a partial country song. We had a banjo on the song and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's called I Wanna Puke, or I'm Gonna Puke. So yeah, I'm Gonna Puke. Um, uh, People really seem to respond to that one. It's a fun song. It's something different. It starts slow. It picks up. The chorus is memorable and stuff like that. Also, we did a video for a song that Drew Stone was nice enough to lend his talents to us and help us film. Rat Bones was the name
Yes.
of the song,
Mhm.
and people tend to remember that one. I think the title track "Wasted for Life" people remember. We have another one called Brew Crew, which we tend to play a lot because we like it. That's kind of a sing along song. I think people are responding to that one. That's probably like number four of those four that I mentioned there that people are responding to. So yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, I think those that, like, as I like to say, that's the meat on that sandwich. Those four, that every record has meat, record has lettuce and tomato. We like to keep it to the meat of the sandwich. That's what people really want to sink their teeth into.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do you guys look at streams like on Spotify and like, wow, look at this one, and
Oh,
maybe that's what you add to the set list, or
that's an interesting. I'm going to do that. That never occurred to me to do it,
Mhm.
but thank you for that recommendation. That's I'm going to try to do. You know what? That's an awesome, because once in a while I'll go on Spotify and I'll look up like a band that hey, let me get into this band somebody recommended, and it shows you their most played songs, and I don't know, I start at the top. What's their most popular one?
Right.
Let's hear the hit. Give me that one. If I like the hit, I move on. I keep it going with that. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, it's because like when I go on Spotify and if a new like a band that's new that I want to check out, or even bands that from that we all listened to and went to back in the day, and we knew their anthems and knew their songs. Sometimes there's songs up there that are that were I'm not saying they're not their anthems, but songs that they would maybe play here and there, but are up there in streams, and that could have to do with the playlists and what they get on. But you're like, oh wow, so you may go on there and be like, oh wow, this one, and hey, we're
Yeah,
going to a
now
set
I'm
list
really
for you guys,
curious to see what songs by us people are actually listening to.
Mhm.
I mean, I know the obvious ones. I know, I'm sure people listen to Skinhead's Rule.
That's up.
That's
That's I
that's
think
like a
number one. Yeah.
given, but
Mhm.
I want to see what other weirdo ones these folks like.
It's cool. Yeah, check that out for sure. So,
I am.
yeah, so traveling now, like so like we were talking. So, you and I last year, we were trying to set up something on Long Island. It was tough. It was tough to get it set up. We're gonna
Yeah.
get that at some point in time. But how is it now in terms of playing shows for you guys as in the past? Like now it's older in our careers, kids. Like we were talking about, it's hard, let alone to get together with the guys, than just to find a weekend to go to Philadelphia or Jersey or even Brooklyn or Long Island to play a show. So you guys played a lot, you toured a lot, you extensively, you did everything. But how is it different now opposed to then?
I mean, well, I would say the main difference is just kind of what you led on to there is, age. When we were young and we had unlimited time and didn't value our time, we just hung around with each other all the time and had plenty of time to do things. There was literally nothing to do. You had no money to do anything, so all you could really do was sit around smoking cigarettes, drinking 40 ounces, and you had instruments, so you played those. Hey, somebody to fucking play in Maryland, play in Baltimore. Hey, guys, want to drive down there? Sure, we ain't got nothing else to do this weekend. Half of us don't have a fucking job. So we would go and we would do that, or and when we were touring, extensively and all the time supporting records, we would work like odd jobs. Yeah, we would just work odd jobs that you could, work for 3 months, dip out for a month or two, come back, and the job was still there, type of thing. But as you get older, and families, and responsibilities, and all this nonsense, all the things that make life, and make your expenditure of time more difficult, that gets in the way a lot. Nowadays, we get a lot of offers, but we can't really. A lot of it is we can't find the time to make it come together. As you said, you and I tried to put something together, and shit, man, we're still trying.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for us to do stuff. We're happy nowadays if we can get together and just jam in the studio and go through the songs, and just spend some time, cracking some jokes, and whatever. And if we can't, we just get together and have a few beers then, and we're like, fuck it, so Glenn can't make it. Fuck it. The three of us will just hang out and have some beers. We might not even play any music. We might talk about it. Ken might take his guitar out, but we'll jam. We'll mess around, but it's difficult in that way. Nowadays, I think life evolves, and that's a good thing. Um, like I said, when we were young, we had unlimited time. As you get older, you know, that clock is ticking, man, and you know, it's no longer on your schedule. It's on it, you're subject to a schedule. So luckily, last year we were able to play 3 gigs in a row. We played in Long Island, we played in Philadelphia, and we played in Brooklyn. Like a 3 day
House of Vinny
thing.
Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did like a
yeah,
tribute to Vinny
that's great.
with the bands that he was in, Gray Area, Kill Your Idols, and our band, and we were lucky enough to be included in that. And that was great, man. It was cool to hang with everybody and get together. But and who knows, we could certainly do that again. And if somebody calls us and says, "Hey, you guys want to come over here and do this for like a couple of weeks?" Yeah, time allowing, certainly. But
Mhm.
making the time, we tend to make the time in a way that we can manage it. Like, let's get together in the studio and just jam and hang out and have fun, crack some jokes, whatever. It's so much easier for us,
Yeah,
to
it's cool.
to
It
do
just keeps it
that.
all connected, right?
Yeah, man,
That's
that's what right. It goes back to the same reason that we started the band to begin with, is to keep our friends together, closely knit in a circle, and give us a reason to hang out, to have something in common, to work towards common goals, things like that, shared experiences, and we're still doing it for that reason, man. That's really the reason to do it.
yeah, it's needed. You need to do it. And so
Yeah.
that's my next. So you guys, when you get together and hang, have you wrote any new songs?
No, no, we definitely did. We haven't. When we get together, it's just like jamming, talking, drinking, more talking, a lot of joking, some more jamming. Um, we have a couple of yeah, we have a couple of songs that we've been working on over the years. Whether they'll ever, come around to be like played ever for anybody else, or these ideas will ever be structured, it remains to be seen.
That's
We got a couple of them, but we
yeah.
we'll see. Like, whatever, we're not on a schedule, we just do whatever we do.
Well, that's
So
nice. You don't have to, and
yeah,
that's
right.
the
we're,
point. You do
we're
it when, hey, you know
we're
what? Let's
lucky
get a new
enough to
album.
not be yeah, we're lucky enough to not be beholden to anybody other than to ourselves. We don't owe anybody anything, any money, any songs, any records, anything. And we decided a really long time ago, that to take something that you love doing and to make it a serious thing where you have to produce a product and make this into your job every day is the best way to ruin that thing that you love doing. And listen, I can't speak for every other band out there. I'm just talking about the guys in my band. And that's how we've always felt about it. Like, we always just love being together. We love, you know, just being with each other and doing the goofy shit that we do. And hey, man, if other people get to see it and get to dig it with us, cool. And if not, hey, man, we'll just go back to the studio and we'll just chill together. That's cool too.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. But you're still having fun with it, and that's
yeah,
clearly
man,
what we're
that's the
hearing in the
most
inflection
important.
of your voice.
Why
It's
why do it? Why do anything in life if you're not going
right.
to have fun doing it?
You're right. You're right. Absolutely. But people can still hear you on a new track. You were did
Oh
guest
yeah.
vocals on the new Deadshot EP that came out a little while ago. So let's
Hmm.
talk a little about that.
Yeah, those are my guys, man. Your guys too.
Yeah, you introduced me to them. Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
they are
Yeah.
great, man. They're great. A great young band, that's excited about hardcore music, and is like new to it. I mean, not brand new. They've been around for a couple of years now, but they're very young, and they're experiencing things like we did for the first time when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And these guys are really going after it, man. And look, best of luck to them. These guys will be successful in some way, because they all individually have the attitude of they want to go out there and get it. They want to go out there and do the thing. And so, knowing them, Wes, the drummer of Deadshot, filled in for us during a gig when we opened for Agnostic Front a couple of years ago. And uh, yeah, he asked me to be on, do vocals, guest vocals on their EP. And yeah, man, that was like an honor to be asked. That's very
Mhm.
flattering that somebody would want me on their record. Like I forced myself on my own friends, but but it's nice when somebody asks you to participate in their project. It's
Mhm.
very flattering.
Yeah, that's a really good song, and it came out great.
Yeah, I really like what they do, those guys, and yeah, they have a promising future ahead of them. They're
Agreed.
really really nice guys, and they work hard, and they're talented, and it's going to happen for them.
Agreed. And more to come from them for sure.
Yes,
So
yes.
this is where this question comes in. It's actually perfect, right? So take yourself back to Deadshot. They're teenagers, right? Take
Mm,
yourself back to Dean as a teenager. What
oh boy,
advice would you give yourself? Could be
oh
anything,
boy.
musically, anything.
What advice would I give myself? I mean, oh gosh, in what arena, like in what aspect, in
Well,
what circle of
musically,
life?
professionally, whatever it may be. Yeah,
Okay.
personally.
I would say the one thing I would say to myself is be here now.
Mm,
That's what I would say. There's nothing more important than this moment. The past is has got you here, and the future does not exist. Just be here now. Enjoy this moment. Enjoy what's happening in your life right now. Enjoy all the great things that are going on for you. And if things aren't going so great for you, realize that this too shall pass.
yeah,
That's what I would tell myself, for sure. And it's easy for me at my age now to look back and say those words, because when you're in the midst of things in life, uh, you're not really paying attention. You're just going through it, But to be here now and to focus on the moment is like probably the most important thing anybody could do with their life.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
most people that I've had on here that I've asked that question, it's similar response. And even for me too, I've
Wow.
said that as well on podcasts that I've been on for my band, and talking about it because
Mm,
I definitely wasn't at that point in time. Instead of enjoying that
right.
show in that moment, that was amazing. I'm thinking about, all right, what are we doing the weekend after, the weekend after, the weekend after? And I unfortunately wish, but again, like you said, we were kids at that point in time. So you're not, I don't know if had that experience lens to look at it that way, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, you don't have the experience. I mean, yeah, you don't have the experience at that stage of life. But you know, yeah, it's really important, I think.
Yeah, and that's the one thing back to West George, the guys in Deadshot. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like they are enjoying the moment.
Yes,
I do. Like,
I really
able
do
to
it.
be,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, especially George, when you see the guy like on stage with all his favorite bands, like singing along, man, that guy's
Amazing.
having the time of his life.
It's
And I'm just
amazing.
like, I'm so happy for him, and I'm so happy for those guys that they are experiencing. They're getting into hardcore music, and they're going to these shows, and they're meeting these people, and the people are so receptive to them, and they're just having a good time with it right now, and that's so important, man. That's
Awesome.
great. That's really nice to see.
It is. So now what I'd like to do is I have a bunch of questions, and you just answer first thing that comes to mind. If there's something, you know what, want to elaborate a little on, go ahead, man. You do it.
Okay.
So, your favorite no redeeming tour,
Oh boy.
and it can consist of an actual long-term tour, or as like we did a weekend with someone.
Hmm. I'm going to say my favorite no redeeming tour is what I like to call the ill-fated US Canada tour. Um, and I like to call it the ill-fated because all the shows were set up via telephone or writing letters to people.
Yeah.
We rented a van. I told the guy I was moving, comic books from a warehouse in New Jersey to a warehouse in Brooklyn, which I totally wasn't doing. I was taking his van all across the United States and to fucking Canada and doing these shows, man, and showing up to places I didn't know the people. I just talked to the guy on the phone. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, we're playing 2 sold out nights in Winnipeg at some fucking hotel. It was wild, man. I call it ill-fated because, yeah, sometimes like you showed up to the gig in like I don't know, rural Illinois, and there was like, 8 punk rock kids there, and the house looked like it had been bombed. And there was some of those too. And then getting harassed at the border, almost arrested, going into Canada and coming out of Canada. It was quite an ordeal, the whole tour, man. But you know what? We had a lot of fun. We laughed. We drank. We the guy that we brought on tour with us as our tour manager, merch guy, is the trombone player from our friends Mephistopheles, who we also did tours with. And I think we blew his fucking mind. Like, I didn't think I asked him to come along, and he knew it would be a good time, but I don't think he thought that we were as insane as we are. So that was cool. That was a really fun tour. We had a great time. It was. I don't even know how many dates, but we went through the U.S. We went up to Canada. We worked our way back down, and it was fucking great, man. We had a great time. Yeah.
Great experience. What was
Yeah.
your favorite place to play outside of New York? Because your shows in New York were always so
Mm.
fun. People singing along, everyone into it. Long Island, like city. I remember seeing you guys in the city a lot. But outside of New York, what places would you say? Oh, yeah, this was fun to play outside of New York.
There's so many, man. I mean, we've had really great gigs all over the place. I mean, one that definitely comes, uh, stands out for me, and I would say probably the other guys in the band too. There's a city in Holland called Maastricht, and we've played a bunch of gigs there. We've even played a wedding there. We were the
Did you?
band. We were the wedding band. Yeah.
No, hold on.
It's
How did that come about? Was that
so yeah. So
that's crazy. That's amazing.
it's kind of a long story how it came about, but anyway, we have good friends in the city. Anytime we go to the city, those guys are like the best guys. They'll put us up. They'll take us out to dinner. They'll get us wasted. They'll bring us to their mom's house, and she'll cook us dinner. Like, these guys are the best, man. They're the best friends that we could ever have. And one of the bands from over there is called Backfire. Another one is called Right Direction. And we became very friendly with them over the year. In fact, Richie from Backfire played drums for us. We played a gig in the U.S. and didn't have a drummer at the time. He was living in my apartment, and we played with Earth Crisis and Hatebreed. And he didn't know. I mean, he knew our songs from listening to him, but he never played drums with us before until we threw him in the van and we're like, "Come on, man, we're going to this gig." And he played the fucking gig with us. And anytime we go to Maastricht, man, it's just the fucking best. We played there a few years ago, and it was incredible, man. It was just what a great city. The wedding that we played was the singer of Right Direction, Dave. He's a good friend of ours. We're so lucky to have such good friends, and he hired us to play his wedding, and let me tell
So
you,
were you
man.
guys playing
Yeah,
no redeeming songs, or like
yeah, no
when
redeeming songs.
when
No, no
he
redeeming
danced with his
songs.
wife, you covering like Heaven from Bryan Adams? Like, what's going
Well,
on?
yeah, we did a bunch of covers. Like, we did
Oh,
Disco Inferno. We did some Prince songs. We did a bunch. We did Celebration by Kool and the Gang. Yeah, we did.
it's
We
cool.
worked in a bunch of wedding songs there too. That's our. Hey, if anybody out there wants to hire us for their wedding, we won't just go up there and play redeeming songs. We'll play a whole bunch of shit that you couldn't even imagine we would be playing, and we love it, man. We love it.
That's
Um,
amazing. That's awesome.
so we did this, and yeah, it was a great gig, man. When I say the whole fucking city was there, I mean the whole city was there. And this city has an airport. So it was freaking incredible, man. It was incredible. People
And
are
where was
still
this
talking
again?
about it.
Where was this again? This is in Europe, you said, right?
Yeah, it was in Holland, a city called Maastricht.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So I
that
was
was
going to
one
ask
of
you
our
next.
favorite places to play. Yeah,
So I was going to ask you
literally
most.
our home away from home.
That's amazing. I was going to ask you most memorable NR No Redeeming show. I mean,
That well, being that I can't remember that show at all because it was at a wedding and it was. I mean, the amount of alcohol that we consumed was. I mean, it was historic. They're still talking about it. The most memorable redeeming show we ever played. Oh man. Um, fuck. Probably. I mean, probably like from the early days, I would say, like when we would open up for Norman Bates and the Showerheads, who are, one of our biggest influences and heroes. Um, that's those were big ones. Oh, here's the one. The first time that we played CBGB's after Mike Dixon left the band, we had just come back from our European tour, and we didn't even know how if we were going to be a band anymore, or if we were going to still have two singers, or what the fuck we were going to do. But we had a gig booked at CBGB's, and we were like, "Fuck it, let's do it." So we did it as a 4-piece. I was the singer, and then the rest of the fellas. And man, I can't even tell you, like, there's a video of it up on YouTube of the gig, and
is that like 97?
you can't even see the band from the people, the amount of people in the place and on the stage. The place fucking exploded, man. I mean, I've never seen that many people in CBGB's other than that Agnostic Front show when they fucking recorded the record. It was like insane, man. It was totally crazy.
You know,
It was
we played
memorable to
a
say the
wild
least.
show with you at CB's in 97, early 98. I don't know if it was that one, but we played a really, like, it was you guys, Maladjusted. It was like a cool punk rock show. And
Yeah,
one for one,
oh man, we
it was a
played a
good
lot of them
show.
at CB's. Yeah,
Yeah,
CB's was our place, man. That was a great place for us,
yeah,
But
Wetlands.
that was definitely a memorable one for
Yeah,
sure.
see. All right, cool. Yeah, it sounds like it. What's a memorable show you went to? Could be a
Oh
concert,
man.
show, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I last week I went to see Cavalera, who were the fellas from Sepultura, the Cavalera
Where's that?
brothers. That was a fucking incredible show. I saw them in Brooklyn at the I don't know, at the Polish Hall or whatever they call it over there.
They played
Man, this
Sepultura
thing.
stuff, right?
They're doing the early stuff. They were doing Morbid Visions and
Oh,
Schizophrenia album.
good records.
So man, incredible. Just wow, that was great. We went to a show, myself and Vinny went to a show, couldn't tell you the year. It was a long time ago. It was at Wetlands. We went to see a band called 108. Now I had maybe heard one of their songs at that point. I didn't really know much about the band. And when I tell you, man, these guys hit that first open E chord, and this place fucking exploded, man. And me and Vinny and Johnny Stiff looked at each other, and we were like, "Who the hell is 108?"
Mm.
And when I tell you, you couldn't even hear the vocals coming out of the PA system for the everybody in that place was singing those tracks, man, was singing those vocals. You didn't need to hear the singer on the microphone. Everybody knew every word. And we were like, who are these guys? This is wild, man. And that was talk about memorable. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. What's a band that you wish you would have played with? Not a tour, but a show that you never had a chance to.
Oh, this band that I wish we would have played with. I don't think there are any, honestly. I think we pretty much covered all those bases. We played with all our favorites. We're lucky enough to say that. And we played with Agnostic Front. We played with Sick of It All. We played with Body Count. We played with Shelter. We've played with fucking everybody, man. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that we could say that we wish we would have played with. I mean, played with Warzone, Breakdown. I mean, what more can you want? I mean, geez,
Yeah.
well, we never thought we would do any of those things, So, I mean, if I had to pick a fantasy like of
Yeah.
mine, play with anybody. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to play with Scowl. Do you know who they are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're a really good young band that's happening now. I don't know. I just think they're great, and I really enjoy them. And playing with them would be cool. As far as that goes, that's a new band. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Awesome. Your favorite older Long Island venue?
Older Long Island venue would be the PWAC,
Yeah.
PWAC, People with AIDS Coalition. What a great venue that was, man. We saw all the good bands there, and even like the national acts would come through. You'd have Agnostic Front play there. You'd have H2O play there. You'd have the touring bands would come through and play the
That's
place,
what came
man.
through there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, and we were lucky enough to play some of those gigs. Like, it was so cool, man, and thousands of kids would show up, man. It was so cool. It was
And
what
it
a
was a
wild
warehouse.
time that was, man. And
It
and
was a
God
warehouse.
bless
It was
those folks for putting on those shows and putting up with those shows too.
Yeah, great classic venue there. Coney
Yeah.
Island High or Wetlands?
Oh, wetlands, 100%, man. A million times wetlands. Um, yeah, dude. What? I mean, wetlands was, dude. We smoked all kinds of fucking weed and stuff in that place, and nobody gave a damn. We would bring our own 40 ounces in, and nobody said jack shit to us. It was great, man. Rabies worked there. He always used to just open the back door, let us in. That play, and I saw plenty of other stuff there too, not just hardcore shows, man. I saw Cypress Hill play there. I saw fucking
Oh,
I saw I saw Blues Traveler play there. I saw all kinds of bands play
crazy.
there, man. I loved that place. I loved the wetlands.
Awesome venue. And even though it had like an awkward setup where the stage was, it was amazing at the same time.
The sound was great, man.
That van in the corner, the Scooby Doo
Yeah,
van, whatever that
yeah.
was. Yeah,
That that
that
was
place
that
was, yeah,
was authentic hippie spot, man. That was
exactly,
great. Yeah,
awesome place.
yeah.
You may have answered this, but I'll ask anyway. Favorite no redeeming record?
Mm. Favorite no redeeming record is going to have to. Well, the record I'm most proud of is Wasted for Life. My favorite record. Um, oh man, that's a tough one. It's really hard to say. Uh, I don't really listen to them, so it's hard for me to say. I'm going to say Still Drinking. That was a good one. We did never expected to make that record or to make a record at that point. So that's probably my favorite. But Wasted for Life is the one I'm most proud of.
Top three albums of all time.
Of
Yours,
all time,
that you like. Yeah. And I
any
know
kind
it'll
of.
change. You might change it after we get off this, but yeah, that can come to mind right now that were influential to you.
Oh boy, that's a like of hardcore music or of any kind of music.
whatever you want to, wherever you want to go with it.
Oh geez. Favorite albums of all time. All right, so I mean, one has got to be. I'm going to say "Give the People What They Want" by the Kinks.
Hmm.
Big
Tough
one for
thing to
me,
give it.
man.
Yep.
Huge one. That thing. Again, this punk rock song's on that record. It's just an incredible record. I'm going to say Agnostic Front live at CBGB's, the first one. With the American flag on the front. That fucking thing is wow. That shit is so kick ass. Wow, it's so tough to pick. I mean, I like a lot of different kinds of music, so it's hard to say.
You do.
You know what record I really enjoy listening to, and I guess it is one of my favorites because I just so enjoy listening to it, and when I listen to it, I get so much joy hearing it. Dynasty by Two Man Advantage
Oh
is
yeah.
just is so big for me, man. Like, I mean, that fucking thing is wow, what a record. I can't believe those guys fucking made that record. It's just incredible in every way. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you listen to last?
What did I listen to last? Let me think. Something that like I heard, like you mean in the CVS pharmacy, like on the
That
speaker, or
you
something that
decided to
I
listen to? Like
oh
I'm
that I
going.
decided to listen
Yeah.
to. Let's think. So that would have to be when I was coming home from work last night. Sin After Sin by Judas Priest.
Nope.
Yeah, I love that record, man.
Megadeth or Metallica?
Oh, Metallica.
Yeah.
At one point in my life, I would have said Megadeth, but after seeing Metallica perform live for the first time, like 2 years ago or whatever it was, when you and I met up in the
Yeah.
parking lot there, Holy shit, man.
They still got
Like,
it.
I
They
never
really
saw
do.
them before live, and to see them was like, yeah, I defy anybody to go up there and fucking do that for 2.5 hours.
At
I
60.
dare, I fucking dare you.
Yeah. They put on a great show.
Oh man, do they?
Scratch the surface or built to last?
Built to last.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know most people would say scratch the surface.
Yeah,
I like
Scratch
I like Built
they're
to
both
Last a lot.
amazing. It's yeah, but Built to Last is an amazing record. I love that
Yeah.
band.
Yeah. It's more um yeah, I like probably maybe less hits on that one, but it strikes a more personal chord with me for
Mhm.
whatever reason.
You brought up a lot of bands here, but I'm going to ask this anyway. A band you like or an artist that may surprise people?
Oh, but God, there's probably so many.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, I listen to some. I mean, I listen to all kinds of crap. A band that I like that would surprise people. Um, hmm, how about Ghost?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you know who they are?
Yes.
Like, I don't know if I would call them a heavy metal band or a pop band. Let's call them a pop band with heavy metal, undertones.
Mhm.
I like them a lot. I'm going to go see them at the Garden. They're coming around doing a headlining tour. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, Ghost. I really like them a lot.
Cool. Writing or performing?
Oh, performing
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, it's so much fun, dude. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you can share beers with fucking other people and fucking have just a thick time, dude, and jump around and go nuts. Like, yeah, you can do that while you're writing too, but to see other people's faces while you're doing it, like you're reflecting that fun back at you is just it's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's the best, man.
Most underrated New York hardcore band from the late 90s.
Most underrated New York hardcore band from the '90s. Late '90s. So you're talking like '96, 7, 8, around that time.
Nine. Yeah.
Oh
Mhm.
shit, man, that's a tough one. Um, Underrated? I don't know what constitutes underrated in that way. Like didn't never got their due type of thing, I guess, huh?
Somewhat, yeah. Because there's been some people have mentioned some bands on here that have, but maybe I guess the feeling is should have been much much bigger than what it was.
I see. Okay. When you say much bigger in a hardcore sense or
Yeah, in
in
a
a like
hardcore sense, played
okay.
out more. Maybe they ended too early. There's a lot of that stuff. So
I
didn't get the
see.
chance to become.
That's a tough one. Late '90s, underrated. I'm going to say one that keeps coming into my mind. It just keeps jumping back in. Cold Front.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they put out a great album.
they did.
I think they wrote some really great material, and I think like if that material was like released today, people would be like, "Holy shit, man! These guys are fucking heavy! Like, you see these grooves? This is crazy."
That album was great. When I had Joe
Yeah.
Hardcore on here, he brought them up. He loves
Oh,
them, and yeah,
yeah,
they were a great band.
yeah.
Last one here, and then we'll wrap it up, Dean.
Okay.
Any new bands that you like now?
Oh, yeah, dude. There's a shit ton. All I do, like, I mean, I'm not one of those guys that just goes back and listens to my old Warzone records and Agnostic Front records all the
Mhm.
time. I'm always, always looking for new music and new bands, not just in hardcore, but in other genres of music too, because I love music. And I feel like you're only going to learn by exposing yourself to new stuff. New hardcore bands that I like, I really like End It from Baltimore. I think like they're so good, man. I love what they do. I love their presentation and I love their music. Um, I saw what was that band I saw Space.
Hmm.
I believe they're on Revelation Records, maybe I don't know, but I saw them open for Shelter at the Amityville Music Hall.
That did a
They were
shot show,
really
right?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. I've been listening to their record a lot. The new Combust, I think, is very
They're
good. They're
awesome.
from
Yeah.
yeah, they're from Staten Island, New Jersey area. I think they're really good. Um, uh, Beyond that, like kind of like weirdo stuff, like there's a band called Homefront. Games of Power is their record. It's got a kind of a new wave vibe to it. I like that. This band, there's a band that I've been listening to for years. They're not, I don't know if they're considered newer. They're more like a thrashy thing. They're called Big Cheese, from the UK. Punishment Park is their record, I believe. Meg Mills, the guitar player, was in Turnstile as a touring guitarist. I think they're fucking, I think Turnstile is very good too. I mean, their new record is real good. Sorry, their most recent record is good. Beyond that, I like other types of music. I mean, there's a band called The Warning. They're like an all-female heavy metal band. I like them. I like Lambrini Girls. Viagra Boys are good. Mannequin Pussy. So yeah, man, I'm into like I'm listening to all kinds of crazy shit. Like if you tell me, hey, give this band a listen, or if you come up to me and you give me a CD or a thing of your band, I guarantee you I will listen to it from beginning to end. You got to expose yourself to different stuff, man. That's the only way you're going to learn. That's the only way you evolve.
Absolutely, man. Dean, thank you so much. This was an awesome conversation.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate your time and appreciate you letting me say all these words to you, man. Thank you.
Oh, of course, man. This was great. So just hang tight here. I'm just going to end this off and then we'll wrap it up when I'm done.
10-4.
Okay. Thank you for listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms. Go save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify that features all bands that were on the show. For more information on future episodes, you can go to my Instagram account and follow What Lies Ahead _podcast and on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead podcast. See you on the next episode.